The feminine awakening process for me really started, I would say, about 3 years ago. It was that 2019, 2020 era where a lot had just been happening in my life, and I feel like it had all come to like a pinnacle, and like a volcano, it was just a matter of time before it all came apart. If I just briefly go into it, and I do this mainly to give you some background on who I am, so that when I do share what it is that I've learned over time, you kind of understand how my lessons have come through for me. And if certain parts of my story resonate with you, then all the better. So I'm just going to briefly share my origin story, as it were. Okay, so it is the winter of 2019, and I'm in the southern hemisphere. I'm in South Africa, so winter for us is June, July, August. It was July, and I was just really stressed. I was in a career that I really loved, but it was very taxing and very stressful. Real estate. I had just broken up with my long-term boyfriend, and just a lot of things were falling apart in my life. And I knew at some level that something had to give, something had to change. But to be very honest, I really thought it was going to be my relationship that was going to change. There were just a lot of things that were wrong, but there were a lot of things that I felt we could work with. And obviously, we had been together for a while, so there was a lot of talk of, long-term commitment, marriage, next step type of thing. So as much as I knew that the level of stress that I was living under was unsustainable, I really thought if I held on long enough, things would move forward and I would get some sort of break or relief. And quite the opposite happened. My relationship broke down, all the way down, all the way down. And I did not have time to grieve because I basically had to figure out, I was fully taken care of at this point. And I just had to figure out how to be self-reliant 100% for the first time in a couple of years. So there was just a lot going on. I was tired. I was exhausted emotionally, physically. Real estate was difficult, when it was good, it was really good. But in between, a lot of work had to go into it. So I found myself burnt out, like really burnt out, like literally running on fumes. Literally. And I remember even getting locking horns with my boss because I was just so tired. I needed a break, but he just needed a soldier to just keep going. And I couldn't. So eventually, it got to a point where I felt I had to choose between my job and my mental well-being. And just at that point when I was just ready to give up, my ex came back in my life, and I thought, thank you, God, this is exactly what I needed, because even though we had our roller coaster moments, I knew that when he was in my life, everything was pretty easy for me, right? I could take a break, I could relax, I could rethink, I could change paths. There's so many things that I could do. And so, just as I breathed out a sigh of relief, and we spent about 2 weeks just talking things out, seeing each other, going out for dinner, phone calls, all of that kind of stuff, and things kind of felt back to normal, if I could say that, with us. And after 2 weeks, he completely ghosted me. Like, completely. No reason, as far as I could see anyway, no explanation, nothing. Just straight up disappeared. And I tried calling him once, and not because I thought he had ghosted me, but just because we were calling each other and texting. And I was actually in a really awkward situation because I was witnessing a smash and grab happening at the car right next to me while I was sitting in traffic. So I was freaked out, and I wanted to call him and let him know what just happened. And I knew that he would be able to calm me down and stuff like that. So I called him, he didn't answer, and he's never answered since, girl. So you can imagine my devastation when I went to bed that night and woke up and there was no return of the phone call, no message, nothing. That was just it. And to be quite honest, I had just gone through so many emotions with this man in our relationship that by the time that happened, as much as I was completely like blown away, like wow, but a part of me wasn't that surprised, and maybe I could go as far as saying a part of me was pretty numb because there had just been so much, there was just so much drama there. So I was kind of numb. I remember not even crying, because I wasn't even confused. I was just kind of, it was almost like an outer body experience where I was just watching myself go through this and just, yeah, you know. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, I guess that's that. What am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? And I thought to myself, well, for one, I can do whatever I want to do because at this point, I don't have to answer to anybody because clearly I'm on my own. And as much as that was my biggest fear for the longest time, at that moment it was so freeing because I realized that even though we were so on and off with my ex, I still very much held his opinions, at heart. And so if there were certain things that he felt like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, whatever, well, I could just do whatever I wanted now, And that was the catalyst to my feminine awakening. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, I'm going to trust that one, it's better than where I'm at right now, and two, I'll figure it out. But this is not sustainable. So what I did is this was now July, end of July. I think it must have been the last day of July or maybe the first day of August 2019. And I remember thinking, you know what? Until I have things figured out, let me just go back to my hostessing job because at least there as much as it's, I don't know, for me, it's one of those out of school kind of jobs. But I know that I'll be able to at least pay my bills and buy myself some time while I figure out what the heck I'm doing. And that's what I did. And in between, I took random opportunities as well, just, trying to, just figure it out, and stuff like that. So I was hostessing, and that means I was out late at night, most nights, and just really doing my best to play that role of, you know, just definitely being quite feminine in the sense that obviously if you're hostessing somewhere, you're welcoming to the people, you're friendly, you're sweet, you're groomed, you're articulate, you've got yourself together and all of that kind of stuff. And then once in a while, you kind of get the party going here and there. So I had to get into like my playful energy. Now, honestly, this was a lot of work for me because, like I said, I was burnt out, I was exhausted, I was tired from all the emotional stuff that I'd gone through in my previous relationship, to how difficult my job had been for the past 6 months and all of that kind of stuff. I was actually really tired. But I made it a very conscious effort to not only just show up at my temporary job as much as, as well as I could, but I just thought, you know what, let me just play with this feminine energy, right? There's something about this feminine energy that I'm curious about. I've been in my masculine, especially when my relationship broke down and I had to really just kind of have my back, and all the fighting also put me in my masculine energy quite a lot. So I just felt like I needed a bit of a break, and I was ready to explore my softer, more feminine side. And yeah, the first couple of weeks were a little bit of an adjustment. I had to take things less seriously, take myself less seriously, just be playful, because obviously when guys come out to drink and stuff like that, they are in a playful mood, and so should you if you're gonna get tips. And we also would sell like bottle service to big tables, so if you want to do all of that, you have to be like in a very playful kind of mood. So that really came through, and I started just relaxing and having fun. And what I would tell myself, when I'd start panicking, like, oh my gosh, am I gonna make my targets? Oh my gosh, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna do that in time? What I would tell myself is, one, at least I'm having fun, which is something I haven't done in a while. So that was one. Two, it was like, okay, if my previous experience was anything to go by, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And if I'm not, and if it takes a little bit more time, that's also okay. But it's more guaranteed than where I was coming from, right? And it's less hectic. You just kind of standing around, greeting people, getting them to upgrade their tables, and that's about it. So yeah, I did that, and within 3 weeks I was not only able to pay my bill, I was also actually able to pay my rent. Was a little bit behind, which is something that I've never experienced in all my years of working. That's how I knew I was just in a really bad place, when bills started falling behind, and I was like, that's not good. And after that, I was even able to save. I was, in a better place. And what I decided I was going to do is I decided that I was going to upgrade my feminine self because it felt so good to be in my feminine element at work. And I thought, man, I can translate that into my everyday life, right? Imagine how many more opportunities will come my way if I do that, right? And so I did that. So I started investing in makeup, investing in nice outfits, hair, nails, all of that kind of stuff. And not only did it help my job very much, but it actually helped me to start moving forward, not only, at that pretty privileged level where I was attracting people around me, romantically, socially, whatever. But it also really triggered a big awakening inside myself because when I looked at how difficult, things had been in the first half of the year, when I was really in my masculine energy, and how unsustainable. So even when I did have good months, it was very difficult to just keep that momentum because I felt like, okay, I had a good month. Can I rest? And you kind of have to always be on go in real estate. And the last 6 months, as much as, it wasn't like a career or whatever, but I was more relaxed. I was more playful in my energy. I felt more abundant. There were more things I was able to do. My bills were on time. I was relaxed. I wasn't stressed. And I started attracting people. I started going on dates. I started being approached. All of these really nice things. I started getting gifts. I started socializing, going out, going to nice places, and all of this stuff. A whole world started opening up to me. And that is when my feminine awakening happened. And it was just so beautiful, but obviously coming out of a place where there was just so many triggers, so much pain, so much confusion, and just that clarity of I need to do what's best for me right now. That I think was the moment when my feminine essence really, or I woke up to my feminine essence and kind of trusting it. And why I feel it's my feminine essence is because of, the word trust. I started trusting that the next step would appear. I had no concrete proof that I was going to be okay. But I just felt like, you know what, if I just do what I need to do right now, I should be fine. And I trust that. And I trust myself. And I trust that at any moment when I get new information, I'll be able to act on it accordingly. So let's go. And that's a very feminine essence experience because you may not be able to put into words or structure like masculine form what it is that you're feeling, but you feel something so strongly and it's clear. I don't think there's a bigger word that I can use. Clarity. You have so much clarity. And you just have to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust the universe to have your back, trust the path. And that's kind of feminine energy. I mean, if you look at lightning, thunder, and rain, it doesn't limit itself to, oh no, let's not do too much, or let's move in this direction, let's be predictable, let's have patterns like this, da da da. The rain is going to do what it wants to do, whether the forecast said yes or no. Lightning is going to strike where it wants to strike, whether it shouldn't or not. And at the end of the day, we just trust that it'll pass. We just trust that, even if things are damaged, things will grow back. That's feminine energy. In winter, you trust that spring will come again. The cycles, it's feminine, right? So I was really challenged to trust my feminine guidance system. I don't know, internally. And I did, and I've spent the last 3 years just going layer upon layer upon layer into my feminine essence. And what I love about it is that it touches so many aspects of my life. And that's how I would describe a feminine awakening. You know, it's not just about, oh, I learned to wear makeup one day. It's you go through periods of downloads, periods where you're learning certain things. You start knowing certain things, or you start thinking and feeling certain things, and you start following a certain feeling, you know, a certain clarity that comes to you. I think it all comes to us in various degrees, because femininity is not a cutout principle. It's very subjective as much as it's, you know, the essence is the essence. It is what it is, right? Mother Nature means different things to all of us, even though she is here for all of us, you know. So I just feel it's a way that you just drawn to go in and not only recognize the feminine essence within yourself and allow that to show through. That's what we call a glow up, right? But you also want to have a relationship with your feminine essence. You want to dance with her. You want to get to know her. You want to surrender to her chaos. You know, you want to surrender to her rhythm. And you're not only trusting her, you know, your feminine intuition, your feminine guiding system. You're trusting yourself. You're trusting yourself and believing that wherever you end up, you'll be good. Knowing that. And you don't know it overnight. That's the journey. It's learning that on various levels. And that's why chaos is definitely a feminine essence phenomena, because that's where you learn surrender. That's where you learn trust. That's where you learn you don't have to know what's coming next. That's where you learn to let go. That's where you learn death and rebirth. It's through the chaos. And if we are so resistant of the chaos because we want the structure, we want the guarantee, you know, we want the stamp of, you know, this is what's going to happen. We want the roadmap. We want predictability, you know. The feminine principle, she does not offer that. She doesn't. She just says, if you trust me, if you surrender, if you learn my laws and use them to your advantage, you'll be fine. If you surrender, if you trust, if you're open, if you're receptive. But if you're resistant, you know, there's a saying that the bird that lands on a branch doesn't put its trust in the branch. It puts its trust in its wings, that if the branch breaks, it'll be fine. And that's kind of like your femininity is you know, akin to those wings. Whatever happens around me, I know my feminine intuition will always find a way to guide me, you know. And that's kind of where the path has taken me. I mean, if you also look at 2020, when the world almost stopped, some may argue that it did, you know, and all the ensuing tragedy that came from that, you know, losing people, losing work, losing relationships, losing, you know, money, all of that stuff, you know, once again, I'd gotten into a level where I was comfortable. I was still hostessing, and I was like, you know what, I don't have a problem doing this. I'm good. And all of a sudden, everything changed. Another feminine occurrence. Everything changed, and there was no explanation, and there was no stopping it. That's femininity for you. There's no notice period. There's no permission slip. She's she's just gonna do what she wants to do. And once again, I was challenged to trust. And it was such a conscious effort. I remember saying to myself, right, I've spent years studying self development, studying consciousness, grooming myself, growing my consciousness, growing my awareness, growing my trust in myself, in the universe, in my higher self, in the higher power. If there's any time that I'm going to demonstrate to myself that whatever I truly believe in is actually correct, this would be the time. That was the challenge I threw to myself. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do. And I did what I knew best. I took care of my body. I exercised. I became very conscious about what I ate. I hydrated a lot. I got a lot of rest. I allowed myself to really nourish my body. And I got into a lot of meditating, intentional work, vision boards. I mean, I don't think I've ever made as many vision boards as I did when the whole pandemic started. And I just did all of that, affirmations, visualizations, you know, and I really stuck into some creativity as well. I just thought, okay, let us find things that make us feel good. Let us produce and create things that look good and make us feel good and see where that takes us. And I just did a lot of stuff that I felt I knew was right. And I challenged my belief system, Look, if I'm going to manifest abundance, I'm going to act abundant. I'm just going to pretend I'm, a millionaire who doesn't ever have to work a day in her life, and I get to wake up every day and do what I truly want to do, and that's literally what I did. And I manifested a job, and the job offered me more than I would have asked for if they had asked me how much I want. And I could work from home. Well, the first couple of weeks, not really, but eventually, yes, I could work from home. And once again, the step appeared before me. And this journey has not ended, but what I will say is I've gotten so in tune with my feminine guiding system. Maybe I'll just call this series or this chat the feminine guiding system. But what actually happened is I created a relationship with my feminine intuition, and it's at a point where, because I use it so often and I'm so accustomed to it right now, I'm very in tune with it. But that's what the awakening is. It's the start of your very intimate relationship with your intuition, with your guiding system, with your guides, your angels, whatever you want to call it, your higher power. It's where you start relying on your essence for manifesting, for attracting things that you want, the life that you want. And I will go into a much deeper chat about manifesting. But the difference between manifesting something small and something big is how well can you hold a certain level of vibration. If you want to attract something but your level of vibration is pretty low, you'll attract a very low or very small thing into your life. But if you have a certain level of depth within yourself that is able to hold more space, you're probably going to be able to manifest bigger things. And manifestation is like creativity. You can manifest with your masculine energy, but there's something about feminine energy that just brings it in a more juicy way. It's bigger, it's more than you imagined, it's more abundant, and it's not even just surface level. It's got so much depth in it. I mean, the job that I got at that time opened so many doors for me, and I was able to do so many things because I worked from home. So I could be on my job and be really efficient, but also be able to do a whole bunch of other things. And I've been able to manifest a whole bunch of other things in the same time. And that's what feminine energy manifestation looks like. It's not just one thing. It's not just 100 rand, you know. It's an opportunity that is linked to other opportunities, that is linked to people, that are linked to more opportunities, that are linked to ideas, that are linked to, and on and on and on it goes. So that is pretty much the background on my feminine awakening story and my relationship with my feminine guiding system. And I know a lot of women are going through this, and it makes me very, very happy because I truly believe the world needs feminine energy now more than ever. And it's so freeing and so yummy. So I'm really grateful to my guides and the higher power and my higher self for being able to have this experience right now, and to be able to also share it with a lot of beautiful women that are also shifting into feminine awakening and feminine awareness. And I wish you lots of love and lots of light and lots of darkness, because that's where we learn as well, in your feminine awakening. And remember, it's a journey, it's a process. We're evolving. We're not, looking to graduate. We're evolving. So what you are learning today, you may not master that lesson, and it may come back around. And the more you recognize it, the closer you are to winning. So be gentle with yourself, love yourself, prioritize yourself, and allow yourself to grow and evolve. All right, I'll see you in the next one.